Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee meeting of June 26, 2020.
Okay, yes.
All right, thank you. So I'll start over. Director Belforte. Absent. Director Grosval.
Here.
Present. Director Hernandez.
Here.
Present. Director Hill.
Present.
Present. Vice Chair Tirio.
Here.
Present. Chair Arnold.
Here.
Present. And President Parr. Absent. You also have on the line Directors Cochran, Frederick,
Yes.
Mastin, Moylan,
Here.
and Sobel.
Here.
So you are a quorum and
Great.
a committee of the whole.
Great. Thank
I'm going to
you.
confirm the staff on the line too. General Manager Dennis Mulligan.
Present.
Thank you. Joe Wire, are you on the line?
Here.
Thank you. Eva Bauer-Furbish, are you on the line?
Present.
Thank you. Kim Manolius, are you on the line?
I am. Good morning.
Thank you. Bridge Manager Steve Miller, are you on the line? Not on the line. Bus Manager Mona Babata, are you on the line? Ferry Manager Jim Swindler, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
It's Barb.
Administration and Development. Oh, hello, Barb. Thank you for joining us. And Administration and Development, Kelly Hopper, are you on the line?
Present.
Present. Thank you. That confirms the staff on the line.
Great. Welcome, staff and committee members. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind everybody to please turn off their phones so that we don't have a lot of outside noises when we're trying to talk. And after staff's presentation, let's just go ahead and go with the staff report. I'll be asking for comments or questions when the staff report's done, and if there are questions, the secretary will call on you accordingly. And after the director discussion, we will ask for any public comment before taking a roll call vote. Each page of the meeting packet is numbered on the bottom right-hand side for ease of following along. We are going to go to item 3 on the agenda, which is to approve actions relative to transition to the Calpers health system and associated actions for non-representative employees. The staff report begins on page 3. We have Kelly Hopper on the line to present the report. Ms. Hopper, are you ready to begin?
Good morning. Yes, I am, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get started, I would like to acknowledge a big thanks to Allison, Stephanie LaRue, and Liz Mason of Hanson Bridget for helping really craft this proposal that we're bringing forward this morning. They did the heavy lifting, and I'm just up here doing the speaking. So I want to acknowledge them. We're bringing an item for your consideration today and asking approval relative to a transition of the district's health care plans to be administered by Calpers Health System for our non-represented administrative employees as well as our district officers. There are 3 specific items that we're asking your approval on. One is to approve the transition into the health care coverage with Calpers, as well as establish an HRA account for specified individuals within these plans. And then lastly is to authorize the district to make any updates in the district's human resources guide and policies as are appropriate related to this matter. I want to note one additional piece of information. This is the policy approval for the transition. However, we will be bringing forward, if you approve this today, we will be bringing forth an item in August for the adoption of the formal CalPERS resolutions, not only for the non-represented employees, but as well for the ATU bargaining unit. As you recall, they recently agreed to transition to the health care. So that would take place potentially in August. A brief background is the district currently offers medical plans with 2 different providers, Kaiser and Blue Shield. Now we have permutations within each of those. We have what we affectionately call the traditional plans, which has been our long-standing plans. And then about 6 years ago, we implemented the high deductible bronze plan. So there are high deductible and a traditional Kaiser and a high deductible and a traditional Blue Shield. As well as Blue Shield, we offer HMO and PPO offerings. For our Medicare eligible, which are our retirees who are 65 years or older, the district provides funding through a health reimbursement account, which is via benefits, where we provide funding for our retirees so they can procure supplemental medical plans in addition to their Medicare coverage. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted not only in a health emergency in our nation, but also an economic emergency. And as many of us heard yesterday in Joe Wyer's report on the budget, the district has not been immune to this. They're currently in the new fiscal year is a $98.2 million shortfall that was projected in the presentation. We understand that there's no magic bullet to solve this problem. It's going to take a series of actions. And so as staff, we begin to look at ways that we could help manage costs better until more is known in a post-COVID world as it relates to the demand for the district and its services. Some examples, and Joe mentioned a couple yesterday. One is that staff will not be bringing a cost of living adjustment recommendation forward to the board this year for its non-represented employees. Another action that we've employed is that we are in a soft freeze scenario, which means that all vacant positions have to provide justification for why we would need active recruitment, and it has to be approved by the general manager. For illustrative purposes, currently the district has 76 vacancies. 49 of those positions are currently subject to the soft freeze. And then the third item to lead up to explain how we got here is with the ATU negotiations. As we all know, the ATU actually made a proposal to transition to the Calpers medical system as part of their cost sharing, cost containment proposals. And during that time, staff was able to get a great deal of education and discovery in the process and realize what a generous medical benefit offering Calpers had, particularly in relation to what the district offered. It offered very, very high level of medical, but because of the size of their organization, is that the premiums were much more reduced. So as a result, this is why we're bringing this item to you today to modify the district's plan. In looking at the advantages to transitioning to the plan, there's several. Calpers definitely offers more medical plan offerings for our active employees and retirees. They currently offer 12 plans. They're HMO plans and PPO plans. Additionally, which the district does not have currently, is that they offer coverage in every state, and not only every state, but also international coverage. So if our retirees retire and move out of the state or even move out of the United States, they have coverage options. They offer Medicare healthcare plans for our retirees. And they are a large organization. They're a beast, so to speak. They have 1.4 million member lives, and they contract with 1,100 agencies. So as a result, they're a big player in the market, and they're able to negotiate premiums which are much less than what the district is, having a much smaller pool. One final advantage to the Calpers system is it would offer retiree benefits to employees who currently do not meet the district standard for retiree benefits. Currently, as you might recall, the district has a minimum age plus years of service have to equal a certain number of points and a minimum of 15 years in the district in order to be eligible. Under Calpers, they define retirees a little bit different. They define a retiree as any retiree who is eligible to receive a public agency pension, and they start collecting on that pension within 120 days of their departure. If they do, they are eligible to receive the Calpers medical offerings, and the district has to pay a minimum contribution for the coverage of those services. What does the change entail? It entails several things. One is the district will have to pay a minimum contribution for every member and every retiree into the Calpers system. the equivalent of very, very similar to the equivalent of the premiums that we currently pay. The district has to establish a stipend. That's a recommendation for certain plans that are selected for employees. Also to establish the HRA plans, not only for our actives, but also for our retirees. And then one additional benefit that we're recommending is that employees who select the PERS Kaiser also be eligible to receive the VSP benefit. Currently at the district, employees who are enrolled in a Blue Shield plan receive the VSP benefit, but not Kaiser. Under this scenario, we recommend that all employees be eligible to receive the VSP benefit regardless of the plan they choose. In terms of stipends, let me explain a little bit about why we're recommending that. As I talked earlier, Calpers is huge, and they're able to disperse that medical risk across a large group of people. So their premiums are much lower in some cases from the district's traditional plan. So as a result, employees today who are in the district's traditional plan, with the transition to Calpers, their premium sharing is going to be much less. And if you refer to attachment A in the document, you'll be able to see that. However, for most employees who are enrolled in one of the high deductible plans, they're likely to pay a higher premium. So as a result, we are recommending that a cash stipend be offered for employees who are enrolled in the PERS Kaiser and the PERS Select to help mitigate those increases in premium share. So we are recommending, like I said, a stipend for PERS or Kaiser Select. If you select any other plan other than Kaiser or Select, we are not recommending a stipend. Additionally, for a health reimbursement account, we're recommending the establishment of a health reimbursement account with the dollar amounts set forth in the staff report if an employee selects PERS Kaiser, PERS Select, or PERS Choice. These cards are going to be able to be used for medical expenses, co-pays, and prescription co-pays. If an employee chooses any other plan other than those three, we are not recommending that there be an HRA card established. From a premium sharing level, our non-represented employees pay a percentage of the actual premium. We are not recommending any change to that percentage. However, what we are recommending is that if an employee chooses any plan other than PERS Kaiser, PERS Select, or PERS Choice, that they will have to pay the difference in the cost between the premium of the plan they select and the equivalent premium of PERS Select, plus a premium sharing amount for the plan they select. Now that's a little confusing, so let me give you an actual example. Let's say an employee chooses PERS Care, and that is not one of the three I mentioned. And let's say the premium is $1,000. By contrast, the premium for a Select is $500. The employee would be responsible for paying that additional $500 as well as the premium share percentage of the plan. So if they're in a $1,000 plan and they're in a 6% premium, they would pay $60 a month plus the $500 difference. So their premium would be $560. However, if they were in PERS Select, their premium would only be $60. We're asking that new employees, that we would have them be enrolled in Kaiser HMO for 3 open enrollment periods. And if they do not do that, they would not receive HRA funding, and they would pay the difference, very similar to the scenario I just mentioned. For our retirees, we're recommending that the pre-65 enrollees, if they select PERS Select, PERS Kaiser, or PERS Choice, the district would pay the premium in alignment with its current contribution levels. If a pre-65 retiree selects any other plan than those, the district would only pay up to the PERS Select. Very similar for the Medicare, which is our 65 post-65 retirees, that they would need to enroll in Medicare Select, Medicare Kaiser, Medicare Choice, and the district would pay the appropriate premium for that. And if they chose any other plan, the district would only pay up to the PERS Select. In terms of, I will say, premium sharing for our early retirees, our pre-65, currently the district requires our retirees to pay the equivalent of the Medicare Part B premium if you're an early retiree. Right now that's $145. It's $144.60. So employees who retirees who are enroll in Kaiser or PERS, we're recommending that the employee pays the premium share less a discount, which is equivalent to what the cash stipend would be for the for an active employee. So, for instance, if they choose PERS Select, as you will see in the report, the stipend is $500 for an active employee. In this scenario for early retirees, we would take that stipend, $500, divided by 12. That's about a $41 per month allocation, and we would give that as a discount to the retiree, the early retiree, from their Part B premium. So instead of them having to pay the $145 a month, the Part B premium equivalent, they would receive a $41 discount, and so their monthly premium would be $103. Because the Kaiser stipend is so much higher, if a retiree, early retiree selected Kaiser, their premium for the month would only be $62 a month. And then if a pre-65 selects anything other than the PERS or the Kaiser, PERS Select or the PERS Kaiser, they would be responsible for that full $145 Medicare Part B equivalent. Now with the HRA cards for our pre-65 and our post-65, there was one difference that I just want to mention here, is that the rules would essentially apply the same for the active employees, which they could use the card for their medical cost co-pays and prescriptions and co-insurance. But additionally, the retirees would be eligible to be reimbursed for their qualified medical premiums. And this really is an administrative function. When Calpers sets up their system, they bill an agency for active members. They bill the premiums to the agency. However, when an employee retires, they then bill the retiree for the difference between the minimum contribution that an agency makes from the actual premium. So if they retire and their premium is $400 and the district's minimum contribution, let's say, is $100, they remove $300 from the retiree's pension. So this provides, through the HRA card, it provides the ability for the district to be able to reimburse the retiree for that expenditure. So that's why we need to create an HRA card for this population, is that on a monthly basis, the district would be able to go back in and provide, provide reimbursement that the retiree then could claim for the reimbursement and be paid for that difference. So that is one difference. One of the things I'd like to mention about the HRA balances briefly before I close up is that employees who currently have high deductible plans and they have value on their or remaining balances on their existing HRA cards, the district is recommending that we allow those balances to be transferred to the new HRA card under Calpers, as well as our retirees who have HRA balances through Extend Health. We are recommending that those be allowed to be transferred into the new program. As far as next step, if the board approves this action today, we will have a series of outreach meetings. We've already had a series. We've had 4 meetings with the non-reps this week where we've explained the program, but we will have some additional follow-up with them, as well as open enrollments, which should take place later this fall for an implementation date of January 1, 2021. I apologize for taking so much time, but I am available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Before I go for questions, let me just ask this. Can you explain again who this pertains to? The non-represented administrative, is that right?
Yes, this is only our non-represented administrative employees as well as our district officers.
Okay, got it. All right, let me go who has questions, and if you raise your hand, the secretary will let me know who has a question. So, Madam Secretary, are there any questions?
Any directors?
My hand is up. This is Michael Terrio.
Okay, Michael Terrio. And so Director Terrio has a question, and anyone else?
Jim Matheson.
All right.
Sabrina
Got it.
Hernandez also has a question, please.
Got it. Okay. So we'll start with Director Cheerios and Director Maston and Director Hernandez.
Yeah, just to be absolutely clear, on a per worker basis, whether they're active or retired, this will have net no effect on their out-of-pocket because of your balancing act with the HRA?
Director Terrio, let me explain, and I apologize, but the way our plan designs are, if you're in a traditional plan, your maximum out-of-pockets and your deductibles are currently lower, but your premiums are higher. Under our high deductible plans, the risk is transferred to the employee. That's why we have the HRA card. So the premiums will change, but that's why we were trying to create the stipend to help offset the premium changes. And the HRA cards that we've created is trying to completely eliminate the risk for the employee for their out-of-pockets and their deductibles.
Okay, I mean, I think
Conceptually,
yeah.
If I could offer, conceptually, what we're doing is what we just did agree to with the ATU. So if a medical plan is good enough for our bus operators, it should be good enough for our non-represented employees and district officers. So conceptually, our goal was to provide the same first-class benefits and to do it in a way that reduces the cost for the district and to give a lot more choices. There are some choices which we don't think many people, if anyone, will take that you could spend more money, but there's some choices that map quite well that we provide stipends as well as HRA cards to incentivize people to choose those. And if they go down that path like we think they will, we think that you will not be getting complaints in the coming months once this is implemented.
Yeah, I understand. I did not address my question with the adequate complexity that it deserved. But that given certain choices, they could be up against higher out-of-pocket. But in general, it'll be about a wash. If that's my understanding.
Yes, that's the goal.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we have Director Maston.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we know how much disruption this change may have on the relationship between our employees and their existing healthcare providers?
So as I mentioned, we have met with about 2/3 of our non-rep. We held a series of 4 meetings this week with our non-reps to try to explain to them what the changes were. The PERS plan, the PPO plan that's offered by Calpers is Anthem Blue Cross. We are pointing all of the employees to the Calpers website because it actually is able to identify what the network and the coverage is for each of these individual plans, to have them look at what their individual doctors are, because these are individual situations. I will tell you that in the PERS Select, I looked within 10 miles of the Larkspur Ferry Terminal, and there currently are 13,000 providers in the network for the PERS Select. So it is a robust program, but they will have to look at it individually.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hey, is it Director Hernandez?
Thank you very
That's
much,
correct.
Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is to Ms. Hopper with regard to employees' response to having been afforded the opportunity to learn about these new programs. You said you had a series of 4 meetings, and thank you to Director Maston for asking about the ease of transfer between existing programs and how it would affect folks. But I'm more interested in hearing if you have any information as to the employees' response. How are people feeling about this transition? Are they worried? Are people excited? Have you been able to get any sense in these 4 meetings as to how people feel about this change?
You know, I believe it's a wide range, and with any of us, when it comes to change, sometimes that could be cause a little anxiety. This is why we wanted to have a series of meetings and why we are committed to really providing a strong crosswalk for our employees. There have been a lot of questions, particularly relating to people who are currently in the high deductible plan, how that would work coming back into what is viewed as more of a traditional plan with traditional, our traditional risk, so there's not as large of co-pays, as large of co-insurance. So what is going to happen with their HRA funds? So we are hearing a lot of that, and we're trying to address that. Many people understand. They're very clear. In fact, we've had several people that have reached out and very clear with the district's financial situation and actually have expressed gratitude for the district to try to be thoughtful in providing a very high level of medical offering, but also being able to save the district some money in light of the current financial situation. So we're hearing a little bit of everything. As staff, we remain committed. We know, as I mentioned, we're going to have a series of outreach meetings. I committed to follow up with each of them after today's board meeting and let them know what the board's decision was, and that we would also be holding a series of outreach meetings. We've established an intranet site where we are trying to put as much information as we can, and we have established a mailbox that can email the team, the implementation team, about their individual needs.
Thank you. And a follow-up question, you said that about 2/3 of impacted staff have been available the opportunity to attend some type of a forum or a meeting. How is that 2/3 group selected, and will the other third have another opportunity? Well, I suppose if we pass this today, they won't have another opportunity. How is that 2/3 group selected, and why was the decision made to only offer the information to 2/3 rather than the entire affected staff?
Thank you, Director Hernandez. We actually reached out to every non-represented employee. In fact, I personally reached out and made 3 points of contact, really encouraging them to take part in these meetings. So I didn't selectively choose 2/3. We actually offered it to all of our workforce, and on 3 separate occasions, I actually reached out to this group.
If I could be so bold as to, I was going to offer that today's action won't be the final action on this, that this is a statement of intent, and that, as Kelly said earlier, that we would come back to the board in August with the actual resolution that would put this in place. So this is more of a statement of intent and outlines the program that we wish to bring forward, and that we will continue to do outreach.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. One last question. With regard to feedback of the affected employees, is there any record kept as to their statements or concerns?
Yes, we have a mailbox, as I mentioned. We also are creating a comprehensive questions asked, because from that we want to create, if we're hearing some of the same things over and over, we want to create FAQs. So we do have a record of every inquiry or request, and we'll continue to do so.
And at this point, I know it's early, and I know that the discussions will continue, but what are the main concerns as to these changes?
As I mentioned, folks who are enrolled in the high deductible plans, there's a lot of anxiety or consternation about what's going to happen with their existing balances on their HRA card. So we are hearing that quite frequently for folks. And this is a work group, our non-reps, as we all know, that they were an active supporter and proponent of our high deductible plans. So we have a lot in this. So rightfully so, they have some concerns. So we are hearing that a great deal. We're hearing specific situations where specific coverages or specific positions. So we are hearing a little bit about that as well as who is the plan provider. When it says PERS PPO, who is behind that, which is the Anthem Blue Cross. So those are probably the 3 things that we're hearing on an ongoing basis most frequently.
And Kelly, have you thought of any ideas as to what can be done to modify the program in order to meet the concerns of those who have been emphatic, and it sounds like there's a reasonable number of them, as to the issue that you just pointed out?
Absolutely. There has been some discussion that if we are continuing to do some of the same concerns, is to be able to reevaluate it and potentially look at modifications, which I believe we would probably bring in some point in the future if it was warranted. for the board to respond to.
So when will be the next opportunity for the board to hear some of these ideas that you have developed in response to employee concerns?
I would presume it would be when we come back to the board in August to bring forward the formal CalPERS resolution for the non-reps as well as the or ATU workforce.
If I could give credit to Kelly, Stephanie, Alice, and the team, they anticipated a lot of the concerns that people would have. So the design of the stipends in the HRAs were intentional. They actually spend some of the savings that we otherwise would have, and we could save more money. But they worked very hard to design plans to minimize concerns and pushback, and I think they did an excellent job of that. But the goal of this is to save money while minimizing the impact to individuals. And switching from a high deductible plan to a low deductible plan greatly reduces the risk and financial exposure for those individuals. So I think we have a lot more education to do, but the whole reason why we have stipends and HRAs is unheard of in the CalPERS world, particularly to the extent that we have it. And so what we have is very unusual, recognizing that we want to reflect the board's values.
Dennis, I appreciate your comments. I really do, sincerely. And I know that our staff is amazing, and that, you know, board has confidence that people are always doing their best work and trying to be as conscientious and thoughtful as possible. However, it is my responsibility as a board member to ask hard questions, and coming from where I come from, it's natural and a responsibility and an important responsibility to me to make sure that the employee's experience is not forgotten in the mix. So I don't feel like I need to qualify my questions, but I suppose I just did. So it's important to know how the employees feel. We're a whole package of decision makers and people that live by those decisions, and so I will continue to try to make sure that our employees are not forgotten. Thank you.
All right. Are there any more questions?
Yes,
Okay.
Brian here.
Good. Go ahead.
Okay, so I guess this would be for Kelly. So we have, as I understand it, 12 variations of the plan within the CalPERS plan. Kind of to Sabrina's concern maybe, to the employee, if they're currently in Kaiser, or they're currently with Blue Shield, Anthem, whatever, they will have access to those identical programs, or are they going to be challenged with utilizing a CalPERS program and therefore have to go out and make sure that their own medical professionals and so forth take CalPERS? Can you clarify that?
Absolutely. Kaiser is essentially Kaiser, so that walk across will be fairly innocuous for our employees. In terms of if you're enrolled in Blue Shield currently, the CalPERS offers their PPO is through Anthem Blue Cross. And so what we're encouraging employees to do is to go onto the site, which allows them to search their doctor and see which plans that CalPERS has that covers their doctors, covers their care, covers their hospitals, whatever their individual needs are. And so we are encouraging folks to go on to the site, search their doctor, search the plans that best meet their needs. Additionally, we will be having CalPERS outreach team that will be out here in, if the board approves this, in August, September timeframe to be able to work individually with our employees to help them better identify which plan will best meet their needs. Very similar, though, in plan design, Director Sobel, in the PERS Select, PERS Choice, and PERS Care. All of those PPOs are very similar to what we see in our current Blue Shield offerings. It's just, some doctors here and there might be a little different.
Yeah, my concern is, it's not a concern. I just, I think you've articulated there will be a robust outreach to our employees because, as you mentioned, Kelly, change is very difficult for people. And we also understand that some people have a better grasp or ability to kind of ferret out the information they need than other people. And, you know, and I worry when we're changing things that every employee feels like they have all the information they need and are comfortable with it. This can be daunting, and I know you know that. So, you know, the more information, the better. And also on these intra, you know, communications or anything else, I think the board would feel good to have the ability to go in and take a look at times at all of it to make sure that we feel like, and I know you feel like the employees are being really well cared for in the change. That's my comment. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, are there any other questions?
Are there any other directors with questions?
Okay, if there are no more questions from the board, let's, Madam Secretary, is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak?
Give us a moment and we will pull the public comment line. We do have one speaker on this item, so I'm going to turn it over to Justine to introduce our speaker.
Okay.
Good morning. We have David Herrera on the line who wishes to speak on this item. Mr. Herrera, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Good morning, Board of Directors and everybody staff that is present. I just have one quick comment, and I just want to just make it perfectly clear. When you guys are reviewing and looking at these changes for the medical when it comes to the non-reps, I just want everybody to be crystal clear that ATU was the one that brought this forward to the district for these savings. I know you guys are going to be having discussions in the future, and you guys are going to be oohing and awing about the savings to the district, but I want you guys to be, when you guys are looking at this and looking at other things that affect the ATU bus operators, that this particular item brought forward to the district now with the non-reps was brought forward, discussed, and implemented by the ATU during negotiations. So this is the genesis of this for the district in savings that we've been doing is brought by the union leadership that is now helping the district, hopefully helping them in their financial crisis that they are now and moving forward. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That was my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Let me just call you back after that. I understand what you're saying.
There's no one else on the line that wishes to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Vice Chair Terrio, would you please move the item if the board is ready for this?
Yes, I move the item.
And Director Belforte? Okay.
Yes.
Second it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, this confirms the first and second roll. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. I'll start with Director Arnold.
Yes.
Yes. Director Belforte.
Yes.
Yes. Director Fewer. Absent. Director Frederick.
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino. Absent. Director Grosval.
Can I just get clarification what it means moving the item since it's going to be back in August? What does today's vote mean?
Who would like to answer that question?
I can jump in.
Okay.
Today is a vote of basically approve actions relative to the transition to non-reps and officers into Calpers Medical, with the understanding that you'll have to come back at a future meeting, probably in August, and approve an actual resolution with Calpers. And until that resolution with Calpers is approved, it would not put us on the path to confirm 100% that we're doing this. Calpers will not act absent that resolution. And if you were to act on that resolution in August, then the plan would be to implement this on January 1st with our non-represented employees and officers at the same time we do it with the bus operators. But this is not the final action because Calpers will not act just based on this, but based on this, we will have an actuarial do the necessary work that informs the Calpers resolution.
Thank you. Aye.
Thank you, Director Grosvold. Director Hernandez.
Aye.
Aye. Director Hill.
Yeah, as a first family for two or three decades, an enthusiastic yes.
Thank you. Director Maston.
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan. Director Moylan. Absent. Director Rabbit. Absent. Director Sears. Absent. Director Sobel.
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee. Absent. Second Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Theriot.
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 11-0.
Great. Thank you all very much. All right, let's go to item number 4. It's to authorize execution of professional services agreements relative to requests for proposals. On-call temp. It actually just boils down to on-call temporary staffing services. And again, Ms. Harper will present the report. Please begin.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. We are recommending the award of 5 professional service agreements for temporary on-call services with 5 different agencies for a 3-year term, base term not to exceed $3.25 million, plus 2 one-year options exercisable at the general manager's discretion of a not to exceed amount of $1.1 million. For the past several years, the district has utilized temporary support services to fill short-term vacancies or when specialized technical skills or projects were being implemented here at the district and we only needed them for a limited term or limited duration work. On March of this year, the district issued the RFP because the pre-existing RFP was expiring. So we issued an RFP in March of this year. And the purpose of the RFP was to award non-exclusive contracts to establish a temporary agency pool to get the best qualified pool of candidates at the most competitive pricing. There is no minimum level of work that's guaranteed to each of these vendors, as the level of the temporary services at the district varies depending on needs and operations at any given time. We sent the RFP to 20 proposers, as well as 135 disadvantaged business enterprises. We sent the notice. Of that, 57 firms downloaded the documents and 21 submitted proposals, which was a great response for the district of this.
Mm-hmm.
The contract, while we understand that over the past several years we've spent an average of $1.2 million, and this is noted in the staff report, with the recent economic and operational impacts due to the COVID, we're uncertain of what the exact needs are going to be moving forward. However, we know that there will be opportunities for us to need specialized service or to backfill short-term vacancies. So we are requesting that we proceed with this procurement. So we're uncertain as what it would need. We're just providing some limits in the recommendation. I think it's important to know $1.1 million. The district currently spends $145 million on staff cost. And in terms of what the level of usage is right now, we were at one time a high of 26 temporaries. I think the last time we came to the board at the time, we were running in the low to mid-20s in terms of temporary services. Currently, we have 8 temporaries at the district right now. So we're recommending approval to the 5 firms that are listed. 2 of them were incumbents from the last contract, and that we note that it's a $3.25 million for the base 3 years. However, noting that given our economic times, it's so uncertain we really don't know what those figures will be moving forward. However, this is the recommendation we're making at this time, and I'm available for any questions.
Great, Madam Secretary. Do the board members have questions?
Let's see, I'm going to ask the directors, are there any directors that wish to have a discussion on item number 4?
I have a question, dear.
Okay, yeah. Director Grosville, go ahead.
You know, are any of these 5 companies minority-owned businesses?
So, there was no DBE gold or small business gold in here. However, our DBE administrator determined that one of the proposers has identified as a small business firm that we will use during the performance of this.
And are any of them women-owned businesses?
I would have to look at who the...
No.
I do not believe so.
None of them were on the state list as a women-owned business.
Okay. And how many of these are 2 of them, were 2 of them already, currently we're using and we're now using them again?
2,
3 new companies?
Right, 3 new companies, 2 were incumbent from the last contract.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other directors with questions?
This is Director Hernandez. I have a question, please.
Thank you, Director Hernandez. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, may I speak?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. My question is about, is more of a curiosity. I need someone to help me understand the criterion upon which each proposal was evaluated. I see 3 points there. One is the proposal's qualification and experience, and that's kind of self-explanatory. The second one is proposal understanding and approach. Ms. Hopper, can you please tell me a few more details about what that means?
Absolutely. The district is complex in so many ways in that we have varying levels of businesses. We need everything from, on occasion, from a, an administrative support to someone who's a technical writer, to someone who does finance, to perhaps someone who needs to understand some IT technical expertise. So what we were looking at when we were asking the proposals is what did they understand the district's needs to be, that as we outlined them in the scope. What did they understand our needs to be, understanding the complexities that we have, and then how would they approach those complexities, and how would their firm be able to provide a response, a qualified response to those needs.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
Is there, Madam Chair, I have one more question, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Is there a criterion that we have that looks at whether or not any of the agencies that we're looking at are local?
So we do not have a requirement that a agency be headquartered locally. However, of the 5 agencies that we have, 4 of them either have regional offices within the Bay Area or are headquartered here in the Bay Area.
All right. Kelly, just a note. I'll probably want to sit with you so that you can help me understand a little bit more about the process. It's probably not a discussion that's appropriate here. The process of review. But I thank you for your answers, and thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions?
This is, hello?
Yes.
This is John Moylan. Can I butt in now?
Oh, you can butt in any time, Mr. Moylan. Go ahead.
Well, I was just listening to the last couple of speakers there on this women issues and minority issues and that kind of thing. Now, I think the best thing to do with this, I've talked about this before to somebody, I can't remember who, but I think we should have a retreat and we can discuss these things more or less in private. Now, it should be, we go someplace, not up to where we went before, because what happened up there was it became a big thing with the transportation people, if you remember. Well, we had it at the Presidio. And that's not good. We should have it in a hotel downtown, San Francisco or someplace. It doesn't even have to be San Francisco. It can be any place. As long as we're away, the board, and free to speak. In other words, no agenda. And it works out fine, because it did. The first couple we had worked out very, very well. And I think we should do something like that to try to resolve these problems. And it's a good way we can discuss things. There's nothing, and we still have to come back here to get recommendations. We'd make recommendations then to the full board or to the staff or whatever. That's all I have to say.
Duly noted, Mr. Moylan, Director Moylan. Any other directors with questions or comments? Madam Secretary, go ahead. Madam Secretary, is there any public comment?
Thank you. We're going to pull the public line now.
Okay.
We have no speakers on this item.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Vice Chair Terrio, would you please move the item?
So moved.
Director Belforte, would you please second it?
Yes, seconded. Thank you.
All right. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Thank you. Starting with Director Arnold.
Yes.
Yes. Director Belforte.
Yes.
Yes. Director Fewer. Absent. Director Frederick.
Yes.
Director Frederick. Oh, thank you. Director Garbarino. Absent. Director Grosville.
Yes.
Yes. Director Hernandez.
Aye.
Aye. Director Hill.
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston.
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan.
Yes.
Yes. Director Rabbit. Absent. Director Sears. Absent. Director Sobel.
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee. Absent. Second Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Terrio.
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. The motion passes 12-0.
Great. Thank you very much. Director, or Secretary, would you please bring up item 4, explain it to the board.
We're actually up to item number 5 now on the agenda. It's going to be public comment. So we're going to do one last poll of the public line to see if there's anybody left on the line that wants to address this committee.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Hang on one second.
Okay.
All right. We have no speakers for this committee.
All right.
That takes us to the final item of adjournment. And would you like to ask Director Hernandez to entertain a motion to adjourn?
Yes, please.
With pleasure. I move to adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Director Terrio, second.
Thank you, Director Terrio.
Do we vote on, do we do a roll call for the agenda ending?
You could just go for an aye for everyone. I believe we can just do a kind of consensus.
Aye.
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 Thank you. That
Thank you
concludes the
all
meeting
very
of the
much.
rules policy.
Thank you.